FHS season tickets.
Welcome into another episode of FHS Season Tickets. I'm Michael.
And I'm Nick.
And I'm Christian.
And today we're joined by a guest, Robert Mays from The Ringer. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi guys, I'm Robert. I don't know what to say. I joined the NFL for The Ringer. Covered the league for a couple of years, and I don't know, I'm excited for playoff football. Let's go.
Yeah, let's go.
Yes, so we're going to start off previewing this weekend's game. I'll preview the first one. Oakland takes on Houston in probably the most lackluster game. Robert, I'll go to you first. Who are you taking?
I'm going to take the Raiders. I think they have more firepower than Houston does. I mean, even without Derek Carr, even with Connor Cook, those running backs, that offensive line, I just have more faith in the Raiders being able to move the ball offensively than I do with Houston.
Yeah, I would have to agree with Robert there. I just don't see Houston with that type of quarterback situation that's going on there. Plus, with Oakland, even without Derek Carr, I still think with their defense, who has been playing well, and their playmakers on the outside, I think that they can get it done against Houston.
I just don't think Brock Osweiler can get it done against Oakland, let alone any NFL defense. So I got the Raiders.
I'm going to disagree. I'm going to take the Houston Texans. You mentioned on one of your articles that Brock Osweiler might be a very popular pick to bet against as a quarterback, but I think Connor Cook's just a way better pick to bet against. I'm not trusting him in his first career NFL start. I'm going to take the experience, even though it hasn't been good experience, over Connor Cook, so I'm going to take the Houston Texans to get the win at home.
Now we're going to go into Pittsburgh versus Miami. Sorry, Robert, for the quick change of topic, but what do you think about the Pittsburgh versus Miami game?
I feel like Miami's got another uphill road. With Matt Moore, it's just their offense against Pittsburgh's offense is just night and day with the quarterback situation. But I think that I look at the line of this game. I think it's 10 points for Pittsburgh. It's too much for me. Miami's defense is still pretty solid, and like kind of Oakland in a way, I think that they have the playmakers to still move the ball. Josh had a nice season. They have guys on the inside that I like more than other people do. I think Booker, Landry, Kenny Stills is a really nice group of receivers that can hurt you in a lot of different ways. So it's not as if I think that Pittsburgh's going to win this one running away. I think Miami can actually put up something of a fight, but in the end, I just think top to bottom, Pittsburgh's too good.
I think that the Miami team can, with those offensive talent, I think they can put up against a fight if we see the Steelers, some of the Steelers defenses that we've seen in the past during the regular season. Like you could take the butter knife and cut right through that defense. But I do believe in franchises, as I've said, like franchises win games, like the Patriots, Steelers, Seahawks even now. So I do think Steelers are going to win this game. I don't think it's going to be as much of a blowout like Robert said. But it really honestly depends on who shows up in the game. The great Steelers that we see of old, the good tradition, or the bad defense that just has to get carried by that offense.
I'm going to take the Pittsburgh Steelers as well. Big Ben's the only healthy, decent quarterback in the AFC part of the bracket, playing in the wild card round. I think he makes a huge difference in this game. Matt Moore, obviously, like you said, not as good as Ryan Tannehill, and I think he hurts the Dolphins' offense. I think that quarterback play is the difference in this one, like it is in most NFL games. So I'm going to go with Big Ben and the Steelers. Christian, who do you have?
I got Pittsburgh Steelers. If they don't, since Tannehill's not playing, I just don't think the Dolphins have a chance. So.
Okay, you want to go segue into?
I think that one of the things to look for is the Dolphins have a pretty bad run defense, and what the Steelers have shown all year that even when Roethlisberger isn't right, that they've been able to lean on Le'Veon Bell. I think they'll be able to do that again. And the other thing that you're looking at the Dolphins running the ball, Stephon Tuitt will be back this week after missing 2 games. He's probably the best player up front for the Steelers. And if they're going to slow down a guy who needs to have a huge game with Miami as a chance, he's going to be a big part of it.
A Notre Dame alum. I like to hear you talking up a Notre Dame alum. I'm a Notre Dame fan. But the next game we're going to get into is Green Bay versus New York Giants. I know that you just published an article recently on New York Giants and the free agency haul that they got last year and the good things it had, the good effect it had on the defense and the whole team in general. But I would like to hear your pick for this game and why you think the outcome is going to be like that.
I'm not picking against Aaron Rodgers at this point. I need to see something different than I've seen over the last 8 weeks before I think he's going to lose the game. And I think the only defense remaining in the playoffs that could actually slow him down, a game that the Packers could lose ugly, would be against the Giants, but I still don't think it's going to happen. You know, the Giants have more talent defensively than Green Bay has offensively. So I feel like them and man coverage against Green Bay's receivers, even that line against a good pass-protecting Green Bay line, they can hold their own. In the end, right now, though, I just feel like you're taking Aaron Rodgers at home against Eli Manning and a Giants offense that cannot move the ball.
Yeah.
I also have, like most of the nation, have watched a lot of the Cowboys games, and the two big losses that they had were 2 against the Giants. And I saw a team that, under the lights, they can get it done. Odell Beckham seems to do his best when the lights are shining the brightest. And I feel like he's a huge X factor. I mean, everyone already knows about him at that point, but that almost makes him more dangerous because he's getting a lot of attention that can spread the ball elsewhere. And I do think that defense is really almost like elite at this point, and the Giants just seem to be able to sneak out these big games. And I don't trust the Green Bay defense, even though they have been playing a little bit better since the middle of the season when they were just playing really porous. So I am going to pick the New York Giants because I think they are more of a complete team, even though Green Bay is at home. Mike, what do you think?
Nick, I'm going to agree with you. When Aaron Rodgers was playing bad, we told you to believe in Aaron Rodgers and that he was going to bounce back and he would be fine. He did way better than even what we were saying, that how he was going to bounce back. But I think now that everything's going right, I think maybe it goes wrong for one game. Can't trust this Green Bay Packers defense. Hasn't been great all year. I think that Eli Manning has a good enough game. And like you mentioned, the Giants have more talent on defense than the Packers do on offense. And I think the Giants win a very close game on the road. I don't think that the Giants win the Super Bowl after winning a playoff game in Lambeau for a third straight time. But I do think the Giants get past this round. Christian, who do you have?
I got Green Bay. I think if Green Bay's defense can play even average, Green Bay's got a huge shot at winning this. And all this criticism of Jordy Nelson and Aaron Rodgers at the beginning of the season, I think they're silencing their critics, and they're going to silence them even more after they win against the Giants at home.
Yeah, and the final NFC playoff game, Seattle versus Detroit. Robert, I'll go you first.
I just think the Seahawks have too much. The Seahawks are reeling right now. They've been a completely different team without Earl Thomas. I don't trust their offense on a play-to-play basis with that line, and Russell Wilson's health that I still feel like is more in question than people think it is. But Detroit just doesn't have it. Detroit's defense is maybe one of the 3 or 4 worst in the league. And the way that Matthew Stafford had to play with that hand, he just doesn't have, and they don't have personnel-wise, what it's going to take to take advantage of the Seahawks and the way they're playing right now.
Yeah, I would have to agree with Robert on that point. I think that the Seahawks will definitely take advantage of the weaker, less talented Detroit team. I mean, congrats for making that far. Congrats on Matt Stafford for a great season. But I do think the Seahawks defense, even though it lost Earl Thomas, will be like the difference in this game. And Russell Wilson has been in the playoffs for like the past 3-4 years.
Every year,
so,
I think.
So they definitely have experience enough to get this win against Detroit. I would look for Seahawks losing in the near future, though, in the playoffs. I'm definitely going to pick against them coming up in the near future. Mike, what do you think?
I'm going to take Seattle at home in the playoffs against not a fantastic team. Detroit's a solid team, but they're about an average team in the NFL. So, yeah, give me Seattle even without Earl Thomas. The defense hasn't been the same, but I still think it's good enough to get the victory over Detroit in this playoff round. Christian, who do you have?
I got Seattle. I think Seattle's just going to take advantage of Stafford's hand injury. And without Earl Thomas, I know it's going to be a big loss for him. I think someone's going to step up and place for him. Do you think Terrell Owens is actually a Hall of Famer, even though he has better stats than Andre Johnson, Larry Fitzgerald, and Steve Smith?
We're going to go game by game.
I absolutely think Terrell Owens is a Hall of Famer. I don't understand this conversation. The Hall of Fame is supposed to be a talk and a discussion about what a dude does on a football field.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if you remember what Terrell Owens was for a lot of teams in his prime, he deserves to be in there. I mean, I don't understand why whatever influence you had in the locker room, whatever cancer you were to certain teams, that didn't matter. If you were a guy that absolutely dominated, which he did, and the NFL Hall of Fame is a museum about the
Yeah, it didn't even matter who was throwing to him. He was still catching it and dominating regardless.
For NFL stuff, Nick has a question.
Well, no, you said you were limited on time, so I really want to get our biggest question in here first, because we know you are a Cubs fan, and we are from Cleveland. We are definitely Cleveland Indians fans. So we wanted to live a little vicariously through you. What impact has the Cubs win had on your life, and how special was the World Series that they won over, yes, our Cleveland Indians?
I can't even really describe what it was like. I mean, just the entire summer in general, being back in Chicago for the first time all summer, really in my life since I was a kid, and getting to be at Wrigley, I think I went 28 times, and being there with my friends and kind of getting to have a rotating group of guys we go with. And Game 6, I was supposed to be in LA for Game 7, and when Addison Russell hit the grand slam, I called my bosses and I was like, I'm just letting you guys know I'm not coming tomorrow. I will not be there. And being able to watch with 30 guys at my buddy's place right off Clark Street, and just kind of the reaction to the swings the entire game, and it felt very good to care that much about sports and for what it was like to just be a part of something bigger than yourself. And there's really no description. You know, it's 108 years of pain, and when it goes away, it's something lifted off of you and your family, and just the way and everything you believed about sports and what they could do all at once. And it was overwhelming, but it's just something that I'll bring with me for the rest of my life.
Yeah, I can definitely identify with that, and I'm really
The
happy
Cavs.
for the Cubs fans because of the Cavs. We had that same type of euphoria this summer with the Cavs, so almost felt like double dipping when we thought that the Indians were looking like they were going to win it. But I'm
We were
happy
getting a
that
little bit too
if
greedy.
anyone would win it, I think it was the Cubs. But I have actually a personal question I've been wondering. I know that Chicago has another baseball team, the White Sox, who have won the World Series recently. What is it like in Chicago? Are people both White Sox and Cubs fans? Are they split on that? How does that really work in Chicago?
I think if you're a real Cubs or a real Sox fan, you do not really care about the other team in terms of them winning. Like, I don't root against the White Sox actively.
Yeah.
If the White Sox win, good for them. You know, I have friends that are White Sox fans. I think it's fun for the city.
Yeah.
But I take no joy in the White Sox winning.
Okay. So it truly has been a long way for the Cubs fans, and I am happy for them winning the World Series for sure.
Yeah, and I've got a question. So you're from Chicago. Are you a Bears fan, I'm assuming?
Yes, I am.
I have to ask, I kind of got that from some of your articles about you talking about my boy, Jay Cutler, from Vanderbilt University, the team I root for. Why do you hate Jay Cutler so much? And also, do you think he could...
I don't hate Jay Cutler that much. I've defended him over and over and over again over years. I'm done. I've had my fill. I want to move on. I want to start a new life that does not involve Jay Cutler.
That's...
There have been moments where I thought that he had a raw deal, and with certain other breaks, the Bears could have gone through and won a Super Bowl. Absolutely. I'm ready. I'm ready to turn over a new leaf in my life.
I can respect that because Jay Cutler has been criticized a lot for being what I would say a perfectly average NFL quarterback, career record right below .500. So yeah, I think he has gotten a raw deal. He's my boy from Vandy, but I haven't been following him on the Bears as much as a guy like you have. Christian, what's the question you have?
After week 3 in the NFL, you said the Eagles were the NFC East favorite, and with rookie Carson Wentz and a rookie head coach and Doug Peterson. Why did you say that?
I mean, it looked like it at that moment. The beatdown they gave the Steelers at that point, I think it was hard to argue with. And that defense looked as good as I thought it was going to, and I thought that they just really had Wentz in a rhythm of what he was able to do, and giving him the throws that were simple, everything else. And what we saw is that's the type of thing you can't consistently do for the entire season because teams eventually figure that out.
Yeah.
And it was the same thing with Dak. He was getting those same sorts of throws at the beginning, but eventually the Cowboys just have so much talent offensively that you find other avenues to win.
Yeah.
The Eagles didn't have that. So, I mean, at that point, that's what it looked like, but I will readily admit that I was very, very wrong.
I said at the start of the year that the Eagles would go 5-11. I was nervous at the start, and then they proved me wrong at the end. Do you have time for one more question, or do you have to go?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you, You made an article about how important red zone offense is and scoring touchdowns in there. How is Marcus Mariota just so efficient in the red zone? I see every single week of retweets by Clay Travis about his touchdown to interception ratio in the red zone. Hasn't thrown an INT in his career. How is he just so good when he isn't a tall, strong quarterback and doesn't have a go-to receiver?
I think it's a great question. His intermediate touch is something that fascinates me. I think he's just so good at putting the ball exactly where he wants to from about 0 to 12 yards, and even beyond that. I just love his accuracy on balls that aren't necessarily bullet sort of passes. I think he's really, really good at that kind of stuff. And you just slow it down, you see it from different angles. He just really has an ability to shape his throws when things get tight.
He's one player I would have loved to see in a Browns uniform. Nick, do you have one last question? Or
Well, on that point about Marcus Mariota being in the Browns uniform, you never know how quarterbacks fare with like poor offensive line just in the Browns organization. We need to right the ship there by just building an overall good franchise. But I think I'm good on the questions. I really like that we got a Cubs fan on the show. I don't think we have had that. I don't think we've interviewed one. So
Nobody?
It was good
nobody
to
from
get the
Chicago.
other side of the story instead of some just Cleveland influence. But I think I'm good there. Thank you, Robert, for coming on the show.
Thank you.
Do you have any other
Absolutely, guys.
questions?
Thanks for having me.
Yep, okay. That will wrap it up for this episode of FHS Season Tickets. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure to leave a like and also subscribe for more season ticket videos.